It's Jen, your resident girl with a really big hair. And if there's one question I have been asked so many times, it is how do I get my hair so long, so healthy? And I feel like I have a little bit of street cred with this. I've had 2 instances recently where I have gone to a head spa where they do that super up close camera, and they both separately told me, even when my hair was dirty and I hadn't washed my hair intentionally for a couple days, knowing they were going to do a deep clean, when they checked my scalp, they both said that I had some of the healthiest, cleanest scalps that they had seen. That's not me saying that, that's them. And I truly believe that that has helped contribute to my long, healthy hair. So I wanted to help break down some of the habits that I do to really help my hair grow extra long. Now, before I start, I want to give a caveat. Hair is genetic, so I can only speak for my own hair journey. There are different types of hair, different colors, states. People have done bleaching and perming and treatments to their hair, so I can only speak to my own experience, my own hair. I have 2A naturally wavy, low porosity hair. Also, I would say if you're experiencing a significant amount of hair loss, please consult your doctor. I am not a medical professional. This is just my own experience, and hopefully I can help you on your own hair journey as well. I want to break this down into 2 different categories: daily habits and shower habits, because I think they both have a big role to play. For daily habits, I'm going to start with one of maybe the most basic, boring things that actually makes a lot of sense. It has to do with food. I tend to be somebody that has very hypoglycemic type of episodes, like my blood sugar will drop, so I've always tried to do a higher protein, less sugar kind of diet just so I don't feel crappy. If you think about hair, it is literally growing from your body, so your body does need the building blocks to be able to produce that hair. So that means eating really well and a balanced diet. I like to eat high protein. I eat a lot of fruits and veggies so that I just get like natural nutrients throughout the day. I don't actually take a particular hair specific supplement though. I'm also very acne prone, so I've been a little hesitant to try things with biotin because I've heard that that can cause more acne. That's just the baseline I'm starting off with. I do think food is so important. The second super boring basic tip is to make sure you're getting enough sleep. From a beauty standpoint, sleep is not emphasized enough. Something that I'm always telling my kids is you heal when you sleep. It is just a fact of your body, but that's actually where a lot of your hair growth is going to happen, when your body is resting and building those things. One of the things I do is I have a silk pillowcase. Not only does that help retain the moisture in your hair and your skin, it's also just like super soft and luxurious. Like, it feels great, and it helps your hair to actually have less breakage. And I've personally found that since I started using a silk pillowcase, I have less split ends. I know there's like satin pillowcases and similar things, but I actually think it is so much more worth it to splurge on actual silk, like mulberry silk, versus just using a satin polyester. It is smooth and slippery, but it actually doesn't do the same effect when it comes to the moisture in your hair, and I think that the moisture is a lot of the reasons why we can avoid our hair breaking. So the next daily habit that I have been implementing is using a red light LED device. I'm so excited iRestore is sponsoring this part of the video because I've been using the iRestore Elite device. This is one of the most powerful red light LED hair devices on the market. It has 500 diodes which stimulate individual hair follicles with noticeable improvements in as little as 3 months. It's also FDA cleared, dermatologist recommended, and science backed. I've always had kind of like an M-shaped hairline, but especially after I had my kids, it was like going super far back. I also noticed a lot of thinning, so I wanted to kind of boost that growth again. I also really liked that it was completely non-invasive and drug-free, and I feel like it's been adding to a lot of growth in my hair. Like, I don't feel like I see as many of those white scalpy areas. It just doesn't look as thin as it did. I actually have a code that you guys can use for a little bit of a discount on the device. I will leave the info right here, and I'll also leave a little icon right here that should be the YouTube shopping link so that you can click there and purchase it really easily that way. My next daily habit that I really stick to very religiously is I actually don't pull my hair back in a ponytail very often. When I do, it's usually just just for like an hour or two when I'm playing tennis and I just want to wear a hat and have my hair back. But even then, I don't do a super tight ponytail, and I also don't do like a slick back. I know those are like very popular lately, but if you've ever heard of, like, for instance, what happened with JoJo Siwa and her receding hairline from doing the super tight dance bun all of the time, it can actually cause a lot of hair loss because it's causing the hair to be constantly pulled away from the scalp, and that puts a lot of pressure on the actual hair follicle, and over time it can cause that hair to just not be able to hold on any longer. Also, I personally just don't think slick backs look that great on me. I know it looks excellent on other girlies. I choose to step away from the slick backs knowing that it is not the healthiest if you want to grow your hair longer. Along those same lines, I also try to be aware of attempting to not pick at or scratch my hair. I really like the feeling of touching my hair and have other people touching my hair. However, I used to have this bad habit, especially right here. I would kind of like touch those little baby hairs and kind of pick at them and pull at them. And I found that I had such a worse hairline. So when I tried to really focus on changing my habits, when I would realize I was doing that, I tried to stop. And then I had a lot of more baby hairs fill back in since I put my hands down. Okay, this is another one that might be a hot take, but I try to use less products, especially near my scalp. Volumizing mousse, hairsprays, texture sprays, dry shampoos. I use things in moderation. I try not to use dry shampoo every single day. Yes, I will use it, but I will always shower that night. I try not to do dry shampoo 2 days in a row because the buildup, even of just things like dry shampoo or basically anytime your hair is really dirty, the buildup around the hair follicle can actually clog the follicle, and having it overly clogged for a long period of time can actually reduce the size and health of your hair and can cause hair fallout, unfortunately. Doesn't get as good blood flow when things are clogged and dirty. So I'm not saying never products on your scalp, but just less if possible. Okay, so the next habit that I have been doing is I have been coloring my hair less. A lot of hair coloring, not all, but most do tend to damage your hair, especially when I had bleached my hair in the past. It made my hair so dry and so crusty. It just had so many more breaks. I could just see all of the split ends and everything. An aesthetic standpoint, I think that dark hair suits me better than the blonde did. If you disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments. Yeah, I think the darker hair suits me better, but thank goodness, because this is so much healthier. It's so much easier to maintain. Put the bleach down, ladies. And I'm not saying every type of hair coloring. If I want to color my hair, I'm gonna go ask for a gloss, which is more like, you know, like a conditioning kind of coating. Yes, it's not going to last forever. Yes, you cannot get super, super lighter colors. However, it is going to make your hair stay in a healthier condition. The next thing that I do with intent, if I am pursuing having longer hair, go for a low maintenance haircut. If I'm having something that is not going to grow out well, I know I'm gonna get that itch to go back to the salon or grab a pair of scissors and do something that I'm going to regret. So I tend to go for something with a little bit of layering. That way, when it grows out, it's still going to have those layers and still look like an intentional shape. Cut your hair less often if possible. If you consider that hair, typically on an average, most people's hair can grow about ½ an inch in an entire month. So that means if you're just getting a trim of like 2 inches, that's actually 4 months of hair growth. I know people say, oh yeah, if you trim your hair, it's gonna grow faster, but cutting it at the ends is actually not going to make the hair growing out of your head happen faster. Cut your hair less often. If you do find you need a trim, I would just get like a ½ inch or 1 inch trim at the ends if your goal is hair growth. All right, that's it for daily habits. Let's hop over to our showering habits. I feel like showering is such a huge, really big, important aspect of hair growth that I don't think people emphasize enough. I touched on this earlier, but I truly believe that the epitome of hair health starts with scalp health. It's a matter of keeping it clean, hydrated, healthy, just like the skin on your face. So starting off, before I even get into the shower, I try to take a hairbrush and brush through my hair beforehand. Not only does that help me from having to detangle in the shower, it also catches the extra stray hairs that were already loosened, that were already gonna fall off in the shower anyway, and I don't get so in my head about my hair fallout in the shower. Our mental health is so important in any kind of hair loss, growth, length journey. If we're overly worried about checking all the time, counting every single little hair that we lose, we kind of lose sight of the whole picture. So brush your hair before the shower, try to get out any loose hairs, and then you're ready for your shower. So in terms of hair frequency, I actually wash my hair every other day. This is going to be down to each individual person. Everybody's gonna have a different rate that their hair gets oily or accumulating dirt. How many products you use can cause more buildup on your hair. But for me, as someone who doesn't use a ton of products near my scalp, every other day seems like the sweet spot. And then if I do a workout or something where I'm sweating, I shower that night. And that seems to keep my scalp clog free. I feel like there were a lot of trends in the past of like using no shampoo or seeing how long you can go and then your hair will rebalance itself. But I just find that if I wash my hair more frequently and keep my scalp more clean, I generally tend to have healthier, happier hair. I do want to mention a scalp scrub because I do love using an extra clarifying shampoo. I only use it like maybe once or twice a month as needed when I really feel like I'm having buildup in my hair, where after I take a shower, it just doesn't feel like quite as clean as it did typically. Then I will use the Briogeo charcoal scrub, and I feel like that just really gives me a deep clean to my hair. I use it instead of my shampoo and then condition as normal after, and it just helps to like reset my scalp if I have a little extra buildup. Aside from that, a very, very typical routine for me is to actually double cleanse. I'm sure you've heard about double cleansing your skin on your face. You can also double cleanse with your hair, but this is actually even easier because I literally just use my regular shampoo. I personally have tried all different kinds of shampoo, from very expensive to very inexpensive. And again, it can matter for your own hair, but for my hair, Dove Intensive Repair shampoo and conditioner, that combo, chef's kisses for me. I actually saw a significant improvement in my hair texture, how it looked between washes. It's not as expensive as a lot of other shampoos that claim to be miracle workers. At the end of the day, I think it's more about the regularity and the habits of actually physically shampooing your hair than always the shampoo itself. But this Dove one of my favorites. It's very excellent. So what I do for my double cleanse is I will take a normal amount of shampoo all over my scalp. I don't really worry about getting all the way to the ends of my hair, but I really, really try to focus on having it touch every part of my scalp and really, really working that in. The hardest part for me is really getting under the back and really getting on the sides of my ear, because a lot of times you just put shampoo over the top like this. I also sometimes use a shampoo scrubber, and then if I feel like I didn't get a really full suds of my entire scalp, I do a second shampoo. When I do a second shampoo, I usually don't need as much shampoo as the first time, but you will find if you shampoo twice, it will lather so much quicker, so much fuller, so much faster. And then when I do the second shampoo, that's where I usually will get all of the ends of my hair as well, wrap it all up, and then I really clean all of that out of my hair. I do a really, really, really thorough rinse several times, make sure no shampoo is left in my hair whatsoever. That usually leaves my hair feeling really nice and prepped for my next step, which is conditioner. For conditioner, my golden rule is I only condition from the ears down. I do not condition all the way up to my scalp, because if I condition everywhere, I will get an oily scalp within like the first day. And I also, because I have acne prone skin, I'll lean my hair to the side and condition all the way through. I use a brush in the shower, a shower specific brush that has holes in the back so it has a lot of ventilation, and I will brush the conditioner through my hair to make sure every strand is super well saturated. Then I will wash my body while the conditioner is sitting in my my hair. I'm not having to sit there and wait and waste water. And then I'll do a full body rinse, and I'm just killing two birds with one stone. By the way, that particular Dove conditioner, I saw a video, I think on TikTok, a girl was doing an investigation on why hair dye box conditioners make your hair super soft. She found the ingredient that made it really soft and then looked for any drugstore conditioners that had that ingredient, and this Dove one had that ingredient. Once I step out of the shower, the first thing that I do is I wring all the extra water out of my hair, and then I take my towel, and instead of wringing my hair within the towel, I will pat my hair with a towel. I'll have it on both sides, and I will pat the hair dry. When your hair is wet, it's extra stretchy. It has a higher chance of breaking because you don't realize how much pressure you're putting on the strands themselves. But if you're just patting the hair out, not only is it super effective, it also doesn't put strain on your hair. So you have less likely to have breakage while it's wet. That's a tip that I actually learned from my aunt who was a hairdresser. So she patted my hair dry after she would cut my hair, and it ended up sticking with me. For my after shower habits, I usually dry my hair with a blow dryer 50% of the time, and I will just let it air dry 50% of the time. I know a lot of people are like, if you don't dry your hair, you will get sick. At least that's something that I definitely heard from a lot of Asian family members. However, when I blow dry my hair all the time, it actually makes my scalp feel pretty dry. So I just try to have a balance. Sometimes I air dry, sometimes I blow dry. That also limits the amount of heat damage that I'm causing to my hair. But I always will use heat protection if I'm blow drying my hair or using a curling iron or any kind of heat product. I always use heat protection. And then once I've finished blow drying my hair completely, if I've curled it, after I'm done doing all of my heat styling, at that point, I might add a little bit of hair oil. I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I feel like if I use a hair oil on my hair before using heat tools, I feel like it's kind of like extra frying my hair. If you're a hair expert, like a hairstylist, feel free to chime in with your thoughts on that. I think of it as like a moisturizing last step. I do that when I'm done with all of my heat styling because it just adds more softness. It really helps my hair to just be a lot more smoother, easier to brush through. And I think that the extra moisture helps me also not to get split ends in my hair because it's just hydrating the driest parts, which tend to be at the end of the hair. And I also only do this, once again, from the ears down, never near my scalp. Okay, so that is it for all of my different habits I do with my hair. I know that a lot of other people do maybe a little bit more aggressive measures. They use like a serum in their hair every day or take like a lot of nutritional supplements that are specific for growing your hair. But I just want to be honest about what I actually do for my hair, what manages to make itself into my personal lifestyle that has helped my actual real life hair grow super long. And I feel like I'm always going to be an advocate of just like healthy scalp. Clean scalp means healthy hair. I'm not trying to sell you on buying 10 million products if I'm not actually using those products myself. So I hope this is helpful for you if you're thinking about trying to grow your hair really long. For me, it's always going to be things that come from the inside, like nutritionally, your sleep, your cleanliness. These are all things that I think are going to actually make the biggest difference. So if you found this video helpful, I would love it if you would hit thumbs up. It really helps me in that algorithm. Feel free to subscribe if you aren't already and you like watching videos on beauty, skincare, fashion, hair, health, life. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!